Hey everyone, this is a quick video on how to solve equations. It's a review of Algebra 1 skill that is going to be key for all our work in Algebra 2. So the objective of this is to solve multi-step algebraic expressions using opposite operations and to be able to solve formulas for a given variable. So you'll see on your notes, whenever there's addition or subtraction, they cancel each other out, and multiplication and division, they also cancel each other out. Remember, equations are just all about canceling things out. So if we're solving this, remember we want to draw that line in there so we know opposite sides of the equal sign. So we're solving for x in here. So the first thing we gotta get rid of is the addition. Remember, it's always opposite PEMDAS. So we're working backwards. So this 10 is a positive 10. So I'm gonna subtract 10 from both sides. What's left is that negative 8x equals 40. And now, because it's negative 8 times x, I'm gonna divide by negative 8. I get x is negative 5. That's a two-step equation. We just got to remember it's minus the 8, not the 10. The 10 is a positive. For example 2, it asks us to solve for y, which is a variable, but it's the same process. So we draw the line, and then the first thing we want to do is subtract this 4x, because we only want the y, we want to move that over. Those cancel out from this side. I have 5y equals 100 minus 4x. Because they're not like terms, I can't combine them. Then I divide by 5. Y equals 100 minus 4x over 5. I can also reduce this because the 100 is divisible by 5. I can look at it as each part divided by 5. So 100 divided by 5 is 20 minus 4/5 x. And that's how I solve for a formula. The other step is when I have variables on both sides. Remember, I have to combine those first. So the easiest way of doing that is locating the smallest one. In this case, it's the 5t. So I'm going to move that 5t to the other side. Whenever I'm moving something to another side, I have to use the opposite operation. So this is a positive 5, so I'm going to subtract. What's left is that negative 1 equals t, or 1t, minus 5. I then add 5 to both sides, and I got t is 4. Remember, when I'm moving, it's the opposite, but when I'm just straight dividing, I just divide by that number. And then the only other tricky solving is anything with a fraction. And what I have to do with that is I have to find the common denominator. So if I look at this 2/3 and 1/2, the common denominator can always be found by taking those two numbers. What's 3 times 2? 6. So the best way of doing this, and the quickest way, is to convert both of these into something over 6. So for this 2/3, I would have to multiply both those by 2. For the 1/2, I have to multiply this 2 by 3. And what I do is at the bottom of the fraction, I do at the top. This becomes 4/6m equals 3/6. Now, because they're the same denominator, they can cancel out immediately just by multiplying both sides by 6. Those cross out, those cross out. Now I'm left with 4m equals 3. Now m equals 3/4. and I'm done. So here, the denominator's 2, but these don't have any fractions. So I would just multiply everything by that denominator. And you'll magically see that those denominators go away. 14 minus x equals 6. And I can solve it from there. What students have the hardest trouble with are these formulas when we're solving for a variable, because there's not numbers. And what you have to remember is it's the same thing as solving an equation. So if we look at 16, okay, I'm solving for b. So I'm going to put the line here. The first thing I got to get rid of is any addition or subtraction. So I see a minus c. So I'm going to add c to both sides. So on this side, I can't combine those, so I just put a plus c equals 3b. Well, I got to get rid of the 3, so I divide by 3. b equals a plus c over 3. I've solved for b, and it's alone. And then the tricky part is anything, again, with that fraction. What I like to do is make everything a fraction with a proportion. And when you see something like this, two fractions equal to each other, just like the percent problem with the is over of equals percent over 100, the trick is cross multiply. There's no other steps that you have to do. S times 1, S equals 2t times 10 is 20t. Then, just to solve for t, divide by 20, I got s over 20. Proportions are the easiest fractions that you can, because all you have to do is cross multiply.